Genesis 24:46. Brother Abe, did I give you one of these?
Yeah, I got
Yeah, okay.
some.
Now, how many of these bullets are in here? That's pretty heavy. That's not as heavy as each bracelet. Pass that around and feel the weight of it. That's not as heavy as each bracelet that was on Rebecca's hand. We're going to study a lot about the culture in this lesson. We've already started talking about it earlier. Thanks to Chris over there. She brought up some things that were very good. Every one of them's in the lesson tonight. Rebecca was a young lady, probably from 9 to 13 years old when she's here in this area. All right, this is when she comes out working hard. The girls at this part of time in this culture did all of the menial labor. They did all of it. They did all the wood gathering. They did all of the basically tent making. They put the tents up. They took the tents down. If they lived in tents, they worked harder than the men did. That's what a woman's lot was in life. That's the way they did it. Until we come, well, women are stronger than men anyway. Women live longer. They're stronger than men anyway. They just are.
They need to marry younger.
What?
They need to marry younger.
The women married very young. The men married probably 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
But I mean, the women need to marry men younger.
Oh, they wear them out. Yeah. Women wear men out, you know, they just wear them out because they're much stronger than men are. That's just
Well,
the
if
way
you
it
guys
is.
can get off your lazy butts and do something, then, you know.
Oh, it just wears us out. You know, when we have to do something, it just wears us out. The culture then, you have to realize, was totally different than what we understand in the world today. And we can't understand unless we look back at this period of time. Some of the rabbis say that she was 3 years old in this place. I don't agree that she's not 3. She might be as early as 9 years old. And we're going to understand the culture here. The bullets that I handed out to you, and as you lifted those, that was about 2,400 or 2,000 grains is what you were holding there, about 2,000 grains of lead and copper. That gold, the gold bracelets on each one of her arms were 2,240 grains of lead on each, or not lead, but gold on each arm, and then she had this gigantic nose ring. And Marilyn said that nose ring was heavy enough when you put that in your nose, you knew you were married. And that's what the old thing, they got a nose in your ring, a ring in your nose. All right, that's what it was. The women pierced their noses so they could get married, so they could be engaged, and they would have this place for this nose ring. And that was a sign of obedience and a sign of commitment. Now, the women did almost all the work. Here where Rebecca is out there, probably 9 to 13 years old, probably not over 13. Maybe probably not under 9 years old. I would say she was at least 9 years old. But she's marrying age. In the Middle East today, in the Arab countries over there in the Middle East today, and even in Mormon society in America, okay, and also in the Indian society, the East Indian society in America, they will marry a girl 7, 8, 9 years old, and they consummate the marriage, people. They just didn't get engaged to them at that time. They consummate the marriage with this young girl. That's what happened back here. And this is exactly what type of culture we have at this period of time. We have a girl now, Rebecca is from 9 to 13 years old. Probably not over 13, because she would have been married. Okay? Now here she is, so keep all of this in mind. She's been trained to work hard all her life. She has at least 2 nurses. She has one wet nurse that was the nurse that nursed her when she was young. A lot of times the mother wouldn't nurse the child, but they would have a woman in the family, a slave, that would nurse the child. and raise the child. And as they would get older, they would teach them, and they would teach them to work. A woman worked, okay? Now let's read this. Genesis 24, verse 46.
Is it like the Muslim culture where if the mother, if the daughter doesn't go, that the father kills the daughter?
Sometimes. Okay. If you weren't obedient, you died. As simple as that. I mean, there was no such thing as talking back. If you talked back, you were no longer around. Okay? Wati Maher. Right? Watoret. Tada. Mi Aliha. Watomar. Shipeh. Wigam. Imalika. Ashke. We Eshet. Wigam. Hage Malim. Ish Kata. Watomer. And she hurried. All right. Now we have Rebecca here. And she's coming to the well to water the animals and to gather water, carry water back. The women carried all the water. They did all the firewood, everything. They did all of this. And by the way, if a man was to do this for a woman, he would be insulting her as a woman, saying that she was not worthy or could not do her job. Okay? And she hurried and let down her pitcher. And do you have you've got your Living Bible with you today? Her pitcher from upon her, and she said, drink, and also, this is Eliazer now here. Eliazer comes up here, and he prays to God, prays to Jehovah, and he asks Jehovah, he said, now, if this is the girl, let the first girl come up here that I talk to, and if I ask her for a drink of water, just let me have a sip of your water. She'll say, here, drink all you want, and I will feed your camels and donkeys and everything else too. And she would have to carry the water quite a little way, because they did not have a water trough right next to the well, because it would pollute, because they would lay feces and whatever, urine, whatever, they didn't want it too close to the well, so that she would carry it probably at least 10 feet away from the well. She's carrying all this water, okay? And also your camels. And I will keep on giving to drink. That's first person construct singular, hithel, imperfect tense. See that? And I will keep on giving to drink, and I will drink, keep on drinking, causing to drink, and also the camels. And she had given drink. Hithel, third person feminine singular, hithel, perfect. She had given to drink. Wa ishal. Ota, wa omar, bat, mi, at, wa tomer, bat, Bethuel, Ben, Nahor, Asher, Yalida, Lo, Milcah, Wa'asim, Hanezem, Al, Apa, Wehatsi Medim. All Yadiha. Okay. Now he's rehearsing what this girl said before Laban and her family. Okay. And I kept on asking her, and I kept on saying, daughter, bought from, you are, and she said, and she kept on saying, daughter of Bethuel. All right? Now, Bethuel, what does Bethuel mean? It's on page 143 in Brown, Driver, and Briggs, okay? What does Bethuel mean? Anybody remember what Bethuel means? What? It's got house in there, and it's got God in it, doesn't it? We know it's got house and God in it. Bethuel. It means the house where God dwells. That's what Bethuel means, the house where God dwells, if you want to write it down there. And then son of Nachor. All right? Nachor means piercer or slayer, one who slays or pierces. This must have been a strong man. He must have been a swordsman or a archer. Okay? All right? Bethuel, son of Nachor. All right? Whom or which she bore unto him Milcah. Milcah means counsel. Milcah means counsel or consolation. And I put the ring, the Ha-Nizim, the nose ring, upon her nose. I put the nose ring upon her nose. Okay? Now, she had to accept that. Or she could reject it. Now, first of all, she could have said, I don't want to water your camels and I don't want to give you anything to drink. She could have done that, couldn't she? Very easily. She wasn't obligated to do this, but God had prepared her heart. Like I said last week, here is a woman that God has chosen. She's a very young woman. But God knows Isaac, and He knows that Eliazer is going to come here, and he's going to pick this woman out. Eliazer is going to pick this woman out. Now, he is going to make sure that that woman is in exactly that spot at that exact time, and he has prepared her heart and who she is all of her life. Whether she's 9 years old or however old she was here, I'm going to tell you something, that this girl, Rebecca, had more faith than anybody else. Because it's up, in the end, it's going to be up to her who does what. All right? Now he's rehearsing the story. 24 and verse 48. And I put the bracelets upon her hands and the nose ring in her nose. Remember, these bracelets weighed 2,240 grains each. That's heavier than this, right there. That's solid gold now. Now, another thing I want you to understand also. A girl wore all of her wealth with her when she went, when they dressed. How many of you have seen pictures of the women in the Middle East that have all the coins all over their shawls and everything else? They wore their dowry with them, and we're going to see a little bit about this later on. We're going to see when we get to Jacob and with Leah and Rachel, we're going to see something about that. Okay? So they wore their dowries. This girl was just going out to water and gather, or to haul water and gather water and water animals and everything else, but maybe she was wearing all her dowry. And he could tell how rich she was. She didn't come from some girls didn't have any dowry because they were very poor. And you could tell a lot by just looking at a girl just out there. First of all, he knew she was a virgin or a maiden. Okay? She didn't have a nose ring in her nose, so she wasn't engaged to anybody. And this also tells you a little story later on. When Abraham went down into Egypt, and when he went before Abimelech, Sarah took her nose ring out of her nose, and she uncovered her face. A married woman was supposed to wear a veil over her face. An unmarried woman, a virgin, carried herself differently because she was available. She let people see her face because there was no nose ring in her nose. Okay? It was empty. The hole was there, but there was no nose ring in her nose. Okay? So just think about all of this culture that when you're thinking about this. Now, this girl had been trained. All right? Wa ek God. Wa ish ta chiweh. Nedavar, because this is Jehovah. We don't have to say this word. Wa-a-varek. Yep. And again we come to the word Jehovah, Davar. Elohim, Adonai, Abraham, Asher, Pinhani, That direct. Emet. La ka chot. Et. Bot. Hachi. Adonai. Levno. And I bowed and kept on bowing and kept on prostrating myself to Jehovah. He was worshiping Jehovah because Jehovah answered his prayer. And I blessed Jehovah. All right, there's where we have the word Baruch. First person construct, PL, while consecutive and perfect. All right, he kept on blessing Jehovah. He kept on thanking Jehovah. The God, Elohim, the God of my Lord, which was Abraham. Who, the word Asher, we looked that word up last week. Cindy looked that up. What does the word Asher mean? Happy. Yeah, happy. Or here it's a relative pronoun, but really the word as a noun means happy one. All right. Abraham, who, all right, had guided me, third person masculine singular, first person construct singular is the suffix, it's third person masculine singular, Hifel perfect, who had guided me in the road or in the way, in my every step that I took. Truth, emet, truth. What is the word for truth in Greek? It is emet here. What is it in Greek? Aletheia. Aletheia, okay? Truth. La kachat, to take a daughter, brother of my master, for his son. The word master there. Master is a Lord. It means creator. It means foundation. It means pillar. Just think about that. Jesus said, "You're Peter, but upon this pillar, upon this rock, I shall be building my church, and the gates of hell shall not wrestle her down." We ata, 1449, im, yeshkem, hashim, hased, we emet, et, Adonai, Hagadu, Le, we am, Lo, Hagadu, Le, we efne, all, Yamin, all, Simol. All right? And now, we ata, and now if you are about to do, masculine, you all are about to do kindness, mercy. The word there is chesed, and in Greek it's charis, okay? It also means grace or mercy. And truth to my master. Make it known to me, tell me right now. Masculine, plural, hifel, imperative. Tell me right now. You all tell me right now to me. And if not, make it known. Masculine, plural, hifel, imperative. All right? Make it known to me, and I may turn unto the right or unto the left. He said, I'll get out of here, I'll go to the right or to the left. If you just tell me whether you're going to do this or not. Okay? Let me know. I don't want to beat around the bush. Eliazer is a man right to the point. You're going to find out that Laban has a total different person to deal with here in Eliazer than he does in Jacob later on. Jacob lets him fool around and beat around the bush. Eliazer will not put up with any of his fooling around, nor his dealing. Okay? Eliazer is a man of focus. A man of focus. Waya'an. Laban. You, Bethuel. Wayomaru. And then we have me, Levar, from Jehovah. Yatsah, Ha-davar, Lo, Lukal, Davar, Elika, Ra, Oh, Tov. All right. God is the author of this estate. This is what he said. And he kept on answering Laban and Bethuel. Laban means what? White. Or white. Okay, he had either white hair or he had very light complexion. Okay? Or very light eyes also. And Bethuel. All right, Bethuel means what? The house where God dwells. And they said, from Jehovah, this all comes about. Third person masculine singular, Kyle, perfect. From Jehovah, this has all come about, the thing. Not we are able to speak unto you evil or good. Ra. Ra. Ra or Tov. Ra, evil. What would be the equivalent of this kind of Ra in Hebrew? I mean in Greek. Poneria. Poneria is very bad, and kakos is what we call the Adamic nature, Adamically bad. Kakos or ponera. And then how about good? Good in Greek. What is the two terms for good in Greek? All right. What?
I knew on Wednesday.
Oh, you'll know on Wednesday?
No, I said I knew on Wednesday.
Oh, you knew on Wednesday. All right, good. Good is told. There's two words for good in Greek. All right, one of them's good and one of them's real good. Spiritually good. All right, kalos. Kalos. Kappa, Alpha, Lama, Omicron, Sigma. Kalos. K-A-O-L-L-O-S. All right, and the other one is what?
Kolos.
Kalos and agathon.
I didn't know.
Agathon. Oh, okay. Kalos and agathon. Kalos is good and agathon is spiritually good. He said, we can't speak to you good or evil. God is the author of all this. He has done all the planning here, and we cannot complain, we cannot gripe, we can't do anything we're afraid to. All right? 24 and verse 51. Hene, Rivka. That's Rebecca, by the way. What does her name mean? Rebecca. What does Rebecca mean? It means to tie up. It means to lasso. It means to halter. It means to entrap. In other words, her beauty was so great that she entrapped her people that looked upon her. They were entrapped by her beauty. Okay? That's what it means. Lafanika, Ka, Wale, Utihe, Ish, Shah, Levan, as Donika, Ka Ashur, Levar. All right? And then we got Halavar again, or Jehovah. Behold Rebecca, the ravishing, beautiful girl. Behold Rebecca before your face. Take. You take. Masculine, singular, plural, imperative. You take and you go. All right? Masculine, singular, plural, imperative. You take and you go. And then here we have Laban doing his best. Allow her to become wife. Allow her to become, look at that word Haya there. That's where the word Jehovah comes from. Well, Ishah. Ishah means woman and means out of man. Woman or wife are the same word. For son. Then, for son of your master, according as has spoken Jehovah. All right? Has spoken. Look at that word, has spoken there. Third person masculine singular. PL perfect. Has spoken Jehovah. Wahi. Ka'asher. Shema. Eved. What's the next word? Abraham. Next word? Et. Devrahim. Look at that. Devrahim. All right. Wa yishtaku. All right. Artsah. Li Devar. All right. And became when? And became, according to when, he had heard, third person masculine singular Cal perfect, the slave of Abraham. F is assigned with a direct object. What is the Greek equivalent to F? Ace. What's the idea grammatically? Extension or limitation of thought or verbal action in Greek, and it brings it even over into the Hebrew ideas to some extent. Words, the whole drawn-out conclusion here. It's the words, but it's the whole contract, the whole event. All right? Wayish taku. All right? And he prostrated himself to the earth unto Jehovah. All right. Eliazer did this. Eliazer worshipped Jehovah. Do you know that Moses named one of his children, one of his sons, from Zipporah, Eliazer? We don't think much about this guy, but this guy was an absolute outstanding character in the Bible. We don't see very much of him, but he was a selfless person. He served his master. He was a type of John the Baptist. And in some ways, he was even the type of Jesus that had one purpose in this world. John the Baptist had one purpose. He went out to prepare the way for the Lord. And he was the friend of the bridegroom, and that's what Eliazer is, a friend of the bridegroom. He's a type of John the Baptist, okay? Exodus 18:4, Genesis 15 and verse 2, 1 Chronicles 7 and 8, and 15:24 and 27:16, 2 Chronicles 20 and 37, and many other places in the Bible we will find children named after Eliazer. A lot of children were named after him. He was a good guy. How many of you ever heard much about Eliazer? You need to look at it from the original language. Eliazer. All right? He was a good guy. What does his name mean? God is help. Jehovah is my helper. That's what Eliazer means. Jehovah is my helper. Jehovah is my helper. Let's trot right along here. Wayatse. Ha-eved. Kale. Kasef. Ukele. It's almost like a ukulele, isn't it? Ukele. Zahav. That's gold, by the way, Zahav. Ub Gadim. Wayitan. Le Rivka. Umik Donat. Natan. Li Achiha. Uleimma. All right. And he brought out the slave. Third person master singular, Hiphil, wow, consecutive and perfect. And he brought out the slave. Ha'aveth. All the vessels of silver. Now here he's going to give all of this money for this girl. He's really pouring it on now. All the vessels of silver and the vessels of all kinds of things of gold, things made out of gold, and garments. And he gave to Rebekah. And jewels. All right, look at that. Excellent things is what it actually means. And jewels, beautifully polished jewels, all kinds of little excellent things, little trinkets and things. And he had given to her brother and to her mother. This is quite a deal. Now, can you go back, young lady, and read from verse 24, 46 up to 2453, where we are right now in that Living Bible. That's a pretty good explanative translation of this sometimes. Go ahead, Susan.
She quickly lifted the jug down from her shoulders so that I could drink and told me, "Certainly, sir, and I will water your camels too." So she did. Then I asked her, "Whose family are you from?" And she told me, "Nahor's. My father is Bethuel, and the son of Nahor, and his wife Milcah." So I gave her the ring and the bracelets. Then I bowed my head and worshipped and blessed Jehovah, the God of my master Abraham, because he had led me along just the right path to find a girl from the family of my master's brother. So tell me yes or no. Will you or won't you be kind to my master and do what is right? When you tell me, then I'll know what my next steps should be, whether to move this way or that. Then Laban and Bethuel replied, "The Lord has obviously brought you here, so what can we say? Take her and go. Yes, let her be the wife of your master's son, so Jehovah has directed." At this reply, Abraham's servant fell to his knees before Jehovah. Then he brought out jewels, set in solid gold and silver for Rebekah, and lovely clothing, and he gave many valuable presents to her mother and brother.
All right, so here a lot of money, a lot of flashy things come out, okay? Dakota. All kinds of flashy things come out. Jewels and gold and silver, and diamonds and rubies and pearls. All of this kind of stuff. Now, isn't this pretty neat sounding? This guy's rich. Here we have Abraham. And where did Abraham get all this stuff? Where did Abraham get all this money? Huh?
From Egypt.
From Egypt, and he went down to Egypt and sold his wife down there and got a lot of money for her. And then Jehovah had to intercept. And then he took over to Abimelech, and he sold his wife to Abimelech. And then he got a lot of money from Abimelech. So he goes down there, and now he goes and he trades some of this stuff, all this gold and silver and everything else, for his son to buy a wife. And that little girl's name is Rebekah. All right. Hog tie. Rebekah hog ties all of her onlookers with her beauty. All right. Yes.
I thought the dowry was so her parents could pay for somebody to take her. So I don't understand why he had to pay money to get her.
They always bought the bride. Because the husband or the father would not let his daughter go to anybody that could not afford her, first of all. Same thing, you see these people, you see the Koreans, are the Koreans like that also? In all of these ancient cultures, the American Indians over here have the same thing. Geronimo, when he bought his first wife, I think he gave a herd of 50 horses for her. He was head over heels in love with her, and he wanted this girl, and his father asked a lot, so he went out and got 50 horses and gave to him to show him that that's how much he loved her. All right, are you ready for this, Stephen? How many horses you got, boy?
I have pictures of horses on my lap.
How many Toyotas do you have? 50 Toyotas, see? All right.
What was the dowry for then?
The dowry. The girl wore her dowry. This was to go with her. This was her family inheritance. This was her inheritance that she wore on her clothing and her fancy clothes, and she would wear all this to show that her family were not poor. All right? And that went with her because it was always hers. That was her inheritance always. And with this inheritance, when she went out, she could buy land. You talked a little bit earlier, Chris. I told you everything that you said tonight was according to this lesson. Women went out and bought land. The Bible says that a good woman would go out and deal for things. They would work hard with their hands. They would spin wool. They would make clothing. They would do all of this. They would oversee it. The woman of the house would oversee all this, and she would work hard, and she would go out and purchase land and whatever. And some of the ways that she purchased land was with her dowry. Okay? So that she would have land. 2454 now. 2454. Wayakilu. Wayishtu. Q. All right. We ha shim. Asher. Imo. Wayalenu. Wayak Kumu, Va Boker, Wayomer, Shali Huni, La Adonai. All right, let's go back and look at
How
this.
come, okay, that one, that Bob Boker,
Va Boker.
okay, first one's V, right?
Yeah, the first one is a V sound.
But then-
Now, a
then
lot
the
of them will
second
say
one-
Va Boker.
Is there like two B's in there?
Yes,
So that.
that's a double.
That thing in the middle, what's
It's
it called?
double.
Okay, but also, doesn't that also indicate it's a B?
It's
So how do you know that it's a B?
it's
a
Va
double.
Boker.
No, but
Va.
I'm saying, that little thing in the middle, that
Yeah.
little dot,
Mhm.
how do you know? Because
It
that
doubles
also,
it and makes it. That's just the way.
but how do you know?
We don't.
Oh, okay.
We're taking this for granted because they didn't do this
Okay.
before about 1000 AD that we know.
Well,
We're
because-
just guessing how you say this.
Because I would just say it's one B because it's got a little thing in it. Shouldn't have two little things in it because it's B and you do it twice.
It just, that's just the way it is. That's,
Okay.
well, all of this, remember was it last week or the week before I talked about all the different, the history of the Hebrew text. And they started making little dots and dashes. The Hebrew was just like the Greek. It was uncials, all just nothing but letters, all run together. No vowels, nothing but consonants, all run together. And then later on, they got to argue the different schools down in Tiberias. Different schools of the Jews. This was after the destruction of everything, of the temple. They were not allowed to go back in Jerusalem ever. The rabbis, nobody was allowed to be in Jerusalem. And down in Tiberias, they started the different schools of the rabbis. Many of the famous rabbis for the first 1,000 years after Christ were all buried down in Tiberias. Well, they argued, different ones would argue over how that they actually said, they would write the Bible out and all consonants, and then they started putting little dots here and little dots and dashes there and this and that and little bitty funny looking sounds or words like this, and they didn't really have any meaning at first, but what they were trying to do is sort of break words and how to say this and how to say that. Okay? Then it became how to pronounce it. Then we have the vowels. The vowels is kind of evolved in the being. Okay? And now the way we say things is the way we guess it's supposed to be said. There were grammars and commentaries written by Christian writers even before the Jews started playing with the language again. And we've got a lot of history with that. And mainly all of the biblical Hebrew grammars today are from that school. All of the other Yiddish and the modern Hebrew comes from the rabbis coming down through there, which evolved into what they said. Okay?
So you could have two different people saying the same word?
Absolutely, saying two opposite different things.
Okay.
Okay? Bob Oker could be Bob Boker, Bob, or it could be Bob Boker. And you will have people saying that today. And we're still arguing over this. The Jews today say the people that teach biblical Hebrew don't know how to say Hebrew. Okay? They don't know how to speak the language. So they get all upset with it and you don't know what you're doing. You don't know language because you don't know how to say it. And of course the biblical Hebrew people say, well, you know what? You didn't use your language for a long time. Not any of us really know how to say it. But this is what the grammars that we have handed down to us say. So we say that. Okay? Forget it. I mean, the way you really say it, we really don't know. But probably the Hebrew grammars are probably more correct than the Yiddish and the Hebrew grammar. Okay? But we don't know. All we're doing is guessing. It's a long way. But we do have a Hebrew Bible. And we know what the words say. We know at least what the consonants mean. We don't know how to say the word Jehovah. They might say they know how to say the name Jehovah. And you hear people, they have written books about this. But what foundation do they have on? It's like slippery quicksand, mostly. It's just guessing or a pumped up idea or whatever else. And they ate. They kept on eating, and they kept on drinking. He and the men. We han anashim. He and the men. See, there's we, and then ha anashim. The im on the end of it is plural. And the definite article, conjunction, definite article, anish is man. Ish is man, actually. Anashim is plural men. With him, ashar, with him, imbo. And they rubbed out the night. They spent the whole night drinking and eating. They stayed up all night. They sound like teenagers, of course. Stayed up all night long, eating and drinking. Partying all night long, because this is a wedding feast. Now, they wanted her to stay there with her family for quite a while now. Because this is a young girl. I mean, they're celebrating her marriage and everything. And that they arose in the morning. And he said, send me to my master. Send me. Spin me up. Send me off. Masculine plural. PL imperative. You send me to my master. All right? And again, the word master, Adonai there, means a base or a column. It means Lord in Greek. And it means pillar. It means creator. All of that. This is my master. There were two pillars in the temple. One was Joachim and one is Boaz. Joachim means he shall establish, Joachim, and Boaz, the two pillars, in his might. Joachim and Boaz, the two pillars that stood before the temple of Solomon, and they held nothing up. All they did was stood there, and they typified some rank or idea or ideal of the Messiah and the Creator God. They might have not been holding anything up, but God upholds the whole universe. Jesus upholds the whole universe with his power of his strength. Wyomer, Atiha, We Imma, Tisher, Hana Ara, Iftanu, Yamin, O, Asor, Achar, Tilik. All right. And he said to her brother and her mother, let's stay. All right. And he said to her brother and her mother, all right. Her brother is Adelpho, you know, and her mother is Mater in Greek, which is a whole lot like English, okay. Let's stay, the maiden, with us days, or 10 after, let her go. Let her walk after 10 days. They wanted to have her wedding week there. They wanted to have a whole week and a little bit more time left over for her to visit with her family before she takes off and never sees them again. All right? And he said to her brother and her mother, let her stay, the maiden, with us days or 10 after we shall let her walk. Pelus Sete. We'll let her walk. Wyomer. 2456. Wyomer Alehem. All. Tiaharu. Okay? And then we have the word Jehovah again. We're going to have and Jehovah be Lazabar with it. Hitz, Leah, Darky, Shali, Hini, Wa Ilaka, La Adonai. All right. And he said unto them, and he kept on saying unto them, not, no way. Do not hold me back. Do not detain me. Second person masculine plural. Don't you detain me. PL uses in meaning. Do not detain me. And Jehovah, or because Jehovah, he has prospered my way. Send me. shoot me out. Shalahinu. Shoot me out like an arrow. Masculine, plural, PL imperative. Shoot me out. First suffix is first person construct singular. And I shall go. First person construct, kal cohorti. To my master. Shoot me out of here. Throw me out, shoot me out like a arrow out of a bow. Send me off. 2457. 2457. Can anybody say that one? Dakota, you know what that one means? Wayomer. What's that mean? Wayomer. Nikra. Lanara. All right. We nish Allah. Et. And then we have Piha. All right. And they said, allow us to call. Turn the old machine over. Now remember what I tell about this little girl. This little girl has a lot of faith now. And they said, let us call the maiden, Leanara, the maiden, and allow us to ask her face to face. Now already he's got the girl. All right? Now let us call the maiden and let us ask her face to face, nose to nose. We want to see her face and see her expression. We want to know how she reacts to her taking off right now and leaving her family. Some of the rabbis said that she was 3 years old. We don't believe that. I don't believe that anyway. They do. And she was no older than 13. But she could have been 9 years old. And so they think they got an ace in the hole. This girl's not going to want to leave. We know her. She is going to want to stay home and have a party. Okay? She's going to stay home and have a party. So now they're betting that the girl will not go. Okay, now let's see how God has prepared Rebekah's heart. A young woman of much faith is how I entitled this one. A young woman of much faith. Yahwayitru. Le Rivka. Wayomaru. Eliha. Hatilike. Im. Haish. Hazeh. Watomer. Elek. And they called and kept on calling to Rebekah. I think they kept on asking her over and over again from the grammar. And they kept on saying unto her, I think they kept on asking her, they kept on trying to get her, you know how lawyers will peck at a guy and just keep on trying to get him to say the wrong thing? I think that's what they did to her. Will you go? Second person feminine singular, call imperative. Will you keep on going with that man? This. And she said, I will walk. I shall walk. I shall keep on walking.
Were they trying to get more money from her?
What?
Were they trying to get more money from her?
We've got Laban here. Laban is on the ball. Okay, Laban is on the ball. Maybe he was, but the deal had already been made. The deal had already been made, and remember who Eliazer was. He was a man of focus. He wasn't. They tried to get him to eat. He said, I'm not going to eat. I will not eat. I will not drink anything. I won't rest until I get what I've done. I've gone to do here nothing.
But he made a deal with Jacob too, and that didn't do any good.
What?
Yes, he made a deal with Jacob too, but that didn't do any good.
Well, he kept Jacob there for 21 years.
But he made a deal with him each time, and he
Yep.
named on it after.
Yep, all the time. It said, Jacob said he changed his wages 10 times.
Now, how do you spell Eliazer?
Eliazer.
All right. And what does that word mean? It's back there now. All right, this is a test. All right, what does he mean?
Jehovah is my helper.
Jehovah is my helper, or God is my helper. All right, God is my helper. All right, yes.
Synonym about Ebenezer. Ebenezer.
Ebenezer? What about Ebenezer?
It looks similar.
Huh?
Looks similar.
Oh, yes, Ebenezer. Ebenezer is a different name altogether. I don't know what it means right off the top. Probably father is I don't know, something father. Probably. Eliazer was the oldest servant of Abraham. He was a man that Abraham was going to leave everything he had to because he had no children. He was going to leave everything he had to Eliazer. Eliazer was his best friend. Okay? And he was his servant, but he was his trusted servant. He loved him and trusted him with his life.
But Laban was the man who was sent.
What?
Laban was the man who was sent to get Rebecca, right?
No, Laban was Rebekah's brother.
Laban. Oh.
Okay, see. All right.
Did I get confused?
Laban is the dealer here. He's the used car salesman. Laban is a good used car salesman. All right, shall we do one more verse? All right. How many more do you have there before we run out of soap? A long way, huh?
You started.
Okay. I've got to do two more of those in this volume. I told them to give you a great big book because I have two more of these little books like this that I have to copy to go with volume 3. This is volume 3. Okay? All right, 2459. Why Shalihu? Yep. Rivkah. Ha-chotam. With Nikah. With Eved. Abraham. With Anashah. All right. And they shot him out, and they sent him out like an arrow, Rebecca, their sister, and Minikah, and her nursing one. See there? This is why the rabbis say this. She had her nursing one. She had the one that was nursing her. It doesn't say the one that had nursed her. It's the one that was nursing her right now. Maybe she was still nursing at 9 or 10, 11, 12 years old. I don't know. But it's calling her the nursing one. That's why they said she was only 3 years old. But she was probably 9 to 13 years old. Okay. And he calls her her nursing one. This is her wet nurse. This is also her teacher. Whether she was still nursing her, we do not know. But it calls her the nursing one. All right. This is where they think that she was young. I wish she was young, but she was not 3 years old, I don't believe. Okay. The youngest she probably could have been was probably 7 years old at the very most. Young on the bottom end. But she was married now. And the marriage is going to be consummated however old she is. Okay. And the slave, Abraham and his men. All right. You can write down there, this is where the rabbis say, some of the rabbis say that she was 3 years old, if you want to write that at the bottom footnote, because she's still nursing. All right? It calls her wet nurse is going to go with her. Okay. Wet nurse is going to go with her. Is that enough for tonight? You want me to turn you loose on the world now? See or no? You're not ready to go yet? One more verse? Okay, one more verse. 24:60. We'll just keep on going all night long, if you don't say stop. Why? Barakah. Et Rivkah. All right. Why Yomaru. Lah. Hacho Tenu. Hat. Hayi. Li Alfe. Ri Va Va. Waye. Ra Well, let's see. Wa-yish-shav. Shush. Wa-yirosh. That's it. Wa-yirosh. I'll get it right in a minute. Zarek. Et. Sha'ar. Sanoah. All right. And they kept on blessing her intensely, Rebekah. And they kept on saying to her, our sister, you. She shall become, all right, 4,000 of multitude of thousands. And may he, her descendants, and may he, third person masculine singular, Cal, Joseph, and meaning, and may he possess your seed the gate of those who hate them. This is prophecy too. This is a prophecy. They knew that something was special going on here. Something special is going on. All right, next week we'll start at 2461. We went from 46 through 60. We covered a lot of land tonight. A lot of land and a lot of promises and a lot of biblical background, didn't we? A lot of biblical background. Are you learning something? From the Bible? From the culture of the people? From the language? Anybody have any questions before I turn you loose?
So, Mary and Joseph. Mary was, what, 12?
She might have been younger when they were espoused. Sometimes when a girl got engaged, she was still in the cradle. Sometimes people would actually, a child, a son was born, and over here, maybe he was 5 or 6 years old, and their neighbor over here was very wealthy. They have a girl. So, while the boy is still 5 or maybe 10 years old, they go over here and maybe it's in a different city. It might be even a different county. It might be in a different state. And they go over here with this family and they make a deal and they write down a contract of how much money they're going to pay for this girl. Okay? And sometimes they borrow money on it. On that contract, marriage contract. And they would have a scribe write out the marriage contract of how much it was going to be, and the girl may be a baby, still a baby. And then when she got old, maybe 8 or 9 years old, then she is going to, now she's, as far as they're concerned, she's married to this guy. But the marriage is never I want you to understand, the Bible has no marriage ceremony. We do marriage ceremonies today. The marriage ceremonies that we have come from Catholicism and the Church of England. They do not come from the Bible. Marriage ceremony was when a man and a woman came together as husband and wife, when they mated and consummated a union. That's marriage. Okay? That's marriage. Now, young people, that's marriage. Be very careful with your bodies. That's marriage. God looks upon you as married when you come together. That's just the way it is. Mary, however young she was when she was engaged to Joseph, most people say that Joseph was probably 50 years old and Mary was probably 12. Okay? She probably had Jesus when she was about 13 or 14 years old. She might have been 15, but probably not that old. Of course, the baby that she had was Jehovah, the God from heaven. Jehovah, the Spirit of God covered her, and she was impregnated with the seed of God and the blood of God to bring forth this child. Okay? When Joseph found out that she was pregnant, she was getting heavy. She was showing a child. And he wanted to put her away privately because he didn't want to embarrass her. And there was, when you got divorced, now, when there was a marriage engagement contract, okay? And they always looked upon people as married. for that contract. But the marriage was never consummated until they come together. This was just a contract until that time. When I perform a marriage ceremony, I say no minister, no judge, no lawyer, no one, no captain of a boat or anything can marry two people together. Only you can marry each other with the blessing of God. People marry each other. Okay? You don't do this. The marriage contract was there. Money was passed on. They could borrow land. They could borrow money on land. They could do all kinds of this stuff with this marriage contract. Okay? But if a man was going to divorce his wife before he came together with her, all right, before they were ever actually married, if he was going to give her a writ of divorcement, and there are writs of divorcement that they give them, he gets his money back. Sometimes he will promise to take care of her up until she's a certain age, provide something amount for her. He can do that and not put her to shame. So what Joseph said he was going to do is that he was going to provide money for her family to be watched after her until she's at a certain age, because she was a lot younger than he was. He was probably 50 years old. He's not going to live but about another 15 or 16, maybe 20 years. And she's going to be out on her own. So he has to have enough money to provide for her until she gets old. And by that time, her children are raised. See? And that contract was that. Well, he was going to get her a writ of divorcement, and he was going to provide for her all those years and not put her to shame. Now, if they could have proved that she had committed adultery with somebody, if somebody had seen someone go together with her, another man consummate the marriage with her, and that she was pregnant with this man, they would have taken her out, they would have put her in a pit, and they would have taken large rocks and dropped them upon her and buried her right there. That was how they got a divorce. If he wanted to do that, he could have done that if somebody could have witnessed that there was a marriage, that she had committed adultery on him.
Did they ever do anything to the man?
A man could have as many wives as he wanted, as he could afford. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, if a man was to commit adultery with somebody else's wife, he was in a lot of trouble. If you wanted to take another wife, that's fine. But if you took somebody else's wife, that was different. The woman at the well was Samaria, in the 4th chapter of the Gospel of John. The woman there had been married 5 times to 5 different men. Not only that, but she was living with somebody else's husband at that time. She wasn't married to him. He had never made a contract to marry her at all, period. And he had other wives. So this guy was seeing her on the side, and he had never had any contract to marry her at all. She was just a loose woman. She was a floozy. She was his girlfriend, and she had no morals. And that's the woman at the well. All right.
So it wasn't. So you had to have a written contract for it to be considered marriage. So it wasn't considered marriage because he had sexual relations with her.
That was never a marriage until they had sexual relations.
But their relationship wasn't considered marriage.
It was never, not marriage. You mean between Mary and Joseph?
No, between the woman at the well and the man that she was having relations with, who was married. How come they didn't consider that marriage because it was consummating a relationship?
Because she was married to these 5 other guys.
At the same time?
No. She had been married to them.
Yeah.
This guy took her, but he had never publicly had a wedding feast with her. She was just a floozy. She was a loose woman.
Well, what you fast in that time when a woman was done, like her husband dies, or she's basically dumped, when her husband dies, how does she take care of herself? And
her husband had to have enough money in that contract to provide her if in case he died. Her family would not allow him to marry her unless he had enough fortune, enough money to provide for her.
Well, then why was she married 5 times?
What?
Why did she marry 5 times?
This girl was no good. She was probably very pretty. She was very wise. And Jesus told her that, and when, the moment he confronted her with sin, she repented. We know that. She repented. It's like Zacchaeus when he came down out of the tree. He was a thief up in the tree looking for Jesus to come down. When he saw the Lord and Jesus says, "Come to me," right then he accepted Jesus with all 5 senses. Whoa. With sight, everything, with his whole heart, he came down there confessing, "I have robbed, I have stolen, I'm going to do it." He said, I'm going to have dinner with you today. I am a bad man. I will restore all the money I've stolen. I will do all this kind of stuff if you know, he was so thankful. The Solomon Islanders, I said this morning in my message this morning, the Solomon Islanders, and during World War II, after they were saved, they wouldn't lie. When they would capture them, try to tell them where the soldiers were, they said, "I'm not with them. I don't know them." You know, like that. That's the most they would say. They would not say anything. They could torture him. They wanted, you know, Jacob Boozer, they tied him to a tree. They didn't give him any water for days, out in the hot sun, right? And it's hot in the Solomon Islands. They put him out there in the hot sun, and all the time ants were. How many of you have ever been bit by an ant or a hornet? Ants were biting him all the time. His body was just nothing but whelps, and he wouldn't talk. Not only that, but then they decided to cut the ant den was heel was right there at his feet, crawling up on him, biting him. So they chopped him down from the tree, put him right on top of the ant den, and said, "You move, and we will kill you. Don't you make a move." So he laid there on top of that ant den, being bit by ants. You know, you're on their ant den, they're going to bite you. And so they're biting him, and he said it's just like fire all over his body. He can't say a word. They were asking, "Where are the Americans? Where are the Americans? Where are they at?" Blah, 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 all the time. He wouldn't do it. Finally, they got him up. They gave him a rancid biscuit and made him drink salt water and make him even more dehydrated. And drug him out through there, and he wouldn't talk. They're making him march with him, and they finally tell him, "Well, he's not going to talk, just kill him." So they stabbed him with a bayonet 8 times and left him for dead. And he got up and walked miles in jungle. They stabbed him through this arm, through this armpit. It came out his mouth and cut his tongue half through the bayonet pit. They stabbed him in the stomach, through his body. They stabbed him here. They stabbed him through the other armpit, and it came out his neck on the other side. Blood was going all over the place. He went over there. They had to give him 16 pints of blood, and in 15 days he was back being a scout again after that. And they asked him one time, "Of all the good things we brought down here to the Solomon Islands, what thing do you like? The knives? Do you like the machetes? Do you like the cook stoves? Do you like the little pots, pans? What is the most important thing that we brought to you as Americans or as white men to your civilization?" And Jacob Booza, they talked among themselves, the scouts did, that these Marine soldiers were asking this. And he said, "Well," he said, "before you people came here, we were cannibals. We lived in the stone. We ate each other. We warred all the time. The most important thing you brought was the Bible and Jesus. Jesus is the most important thing. Now, we can do without all the rest, but Jesus, now we know Him. He's our Savior." The whole world, they accepted Jesus like little children. Like little children. That's the way Jesus wanted the Israel to accept Him like little children. Remember when He said, "Let the little children come unto me, except you accept me as a little child, you will not see the kingdom of God." Well, those people in the Solomon Islands accepted Jesus like little children. They were what a deal. Old Jacob Boozer was a tremendous warrior, but he was a tremendous warrior for the Lord, too. He served Jesus just like he did his country. Thank you for your attention tonight. Is that all your questions? You have any?
Well, I do have why do you think we don't live like that today, where people get married, I mean, in general, where people make contact with their children and get married? I mean, people still do it, but...
So I got to talk to Steve's parents yet. I'm not through with him yet.
So, why do you think we're not living like that today?
No, we don't. We don't live like that in America. But you know what? Most of the world still lives like this. We're a very small minority. Most of the world still lives like it. All the Muslim world lives like this. And they expect absolute morality among their people, or else dead.
Why do you think it came about to be that way, where people were contracted to be married? Why do you think they did that?
They wanted to make sure the girl went to a good husband, for one thing.
And why did they decide on such a young age?
They always did that. That was the way it was from the beginning of time. We have done so much harm to our children today, in a lot of ways. They get married, the boys, the men would get married when they were 25, 30 years old, 40, 50. In Europe and all over the Middle East. In Korea, how old do the men usually get married over there, Brother A?
Because in ancient time, lots of people died in their young age. So Korean people tried to get married early. So even
even the boys do?
The 14 years old boy, they married with a 30 years, 10 years old lady. Because at the time, men could die easily.
Men didn't live as long because they went to war a lot too.
Yeah, like that.
Well, in a lot of cultures, the men will get married when they're 20, 25, okay? Some older. In European culture, they had to have a home and a business and an occupation before they could afford a wife. Nobody's going to let them have a wife. Your grandfather married a young woman, and he already had an occupation, had a business and everything. He was a gun maker and a watchmaker and all that kind of stuff before he could ever think about getting married, okay? And they would marry a young girl. And her family would want to make sure that she went to some husband that could take care of her, because they didn't want to be saddled with 20 kids. All right? Because they have a whole lot of... I tell you what, that's debilitating to the family when you got all these orphans. The man has got to have enough money and training to take care of the children. In America, we have changed. America has changed the whole world. After World War II, that's when American culture changed. Because the women in World War II went out and worked in the factories. Rosie the Riveter and all this kind of stuff. That's when America changed. And it only changed in the 40s. And since the 40s, our whole culture has changed. Period. The women were always in the home, but they worked hard. They did all the things that they did in Korea and in Asia and everything else. The women got married young and whatever. But men got married too. But now we make our children get to be 20, 25 years old before they get married. And they're sexually mature young. The woman gets mature more younger than a man does, doesn't she? And all of these hormones are going on and everything else, and boy, they're pretty wild, They do the wrong thing sometimes. Because our culture has totally changed. Our culture has changed. Is that enough? Are you ready to go out? Seek the world. Go out and do something eternal. You study history and it tells you a lot of these things. History tells a lot. America has not had a good influence on the world, to tell you the truth. The rest of the world hates America. I'm telling you. They hate America because of our immorality.
But wasn't it immorality? I mean, from what I heard from my relatives who fought in World War II, whether they went to Europe or Japan, or the Philippines, they said they saw so much sexual immorality just in public places. So it was rampant over there before it became rampant here, is from what I've heard.
The culture, the war, does weird things. War is raping and pillaging. Don't ever forget that. Always war has been raping and pillaging. That's the way they do it. And those people over there were scared. And they did that. Yes, many people were immoral. But they were immoral here too.
Well, I remember my uncle telling me how he had to take some plane from England over into France, and before France was totally taken over, in a public restroom.
Mhm.
And
They're all open.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
they are today.
and the men and women, a couple will go in, sit down, and hold hands while they're using the restroom.
That's
He'd
right.
never seen that before.
Well, here we had two little Holler outhouses. They did that here too.
I never heard of it here.
Yeah, it was here. It was there. It was like that. But we have. There was the Victorian age, and then the Prohibition age here, and all this kind of stuff. You know, and we had a lot of that had a lot to do with it. All right, I'm going to turn you loose on the world. But you study history. You look at history, and you see that. All right, let's have a prayer and go out there and get them. Cindy, would you mind dismissing us in prayer, young lady?
Lord, I thank you for the time that we've had to spend together, and I just pray that you would allow us to absorb what you have told us and allow us to open our hearts. And it's interesting and neat to understand the history and the traditions of people in the past and question them and what they do, but they may be ones who are right and they may not be. So I just pray that you would allow us to see how you rule in the hearts of people, and you allow us to come together and worship you and praise you, and that we might be able to extend our hands to other people and show them your ways. I just pray that you would be with us throughout this week and keep us safe so that we may come back next week. Pass this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Might say this in cultures as you're getting ready to leave. In America today, America fought the Mormons for years because they had plural wives, because they had, Joseph Smith was a polygamist, and so was Diggory and Young. But in America, we have Arabs that got half a dozen wives. Mm-hmm. And we got East Indians that have half a dozen wives. These women are walking down the road with their hands holding hands. These women are sisters married to the same man or whatever. We don't say anything about that at all now, do we? It's going on rampant. It's rampant. Okay? It's rampant. We were beating up the Mormons for it, and I'm not saying they're not right. You know that.
Well, the extreme Mormons who live in the past and the present are really doing it. But they're taking it to an abusive point of forcing women.
Well, they always do. Yeah, they were abusing it. Joseph Smith, his revelation of polygamy, because he wanted a lot of women. He was he was full of lust, and so was Brigham Young. That's why they got that revelation. America came down on them pretty hard, so they got another revelation. But they're still doing all that in Utah. But the Arabs are doing it in every state, and the East Indians are doing it in every state, wherever they are. And I don't see any aggressive toward them at all. Period. All right. Thank you for being here. That did. That over there didn't.
Okay.
This one here got it all.
Oh.